Let's move on to Chelsea, who there's always in the news, of course. They've issued actually 175 million pounds of shares. What do you think is the likely reasoning for that? Do you think it's linked to the women's team sale or something completely different?
I think it's all about the PSR requirements. I mean, they still have got, as I understand it, that women's team transaction is still being analysed by the Premier League to see if it meets fair market rules. So Chelsea, once again, have got themselves in a bit of a problem, and they're throwing money at it again. I mean, just also on Chelsea this week. I mean, the share is, as I say, the shares is about getting cash in there, trying to reduce the interest payments and any debt, so that the PSR issues sort of go away as far as they can do. But selling Conor Gallagher to Atletico Madrid this week, it just seems that Todd Boehly and his group never learn from their mistakes. They just seem to one after another. And it's becoming very quickly a case study of what not to do with a club when you buy it. Luckily, they've got very deep pockets, but I'm afraid Mr. Boehly is finding that football isn't quite as easy as he thought it was in terms of his baseball experience.
Yeah, and you talk about obviously the Conor Gallagher sale and the need for cash flow, yet they're reportedly set to pay almost 17 million pounds for 18-year-old Mike Penders. Can you make sense of that? Doesn't that seem like a crazy amount to be spending, especially with, as you said, the amount of cash they've been throwing around just since Todd Boehly came in?
Yeah, look, it doesn't make any sense, again, because I think he'd be the 7th goalkeeper, maybe 8th even.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Although he's going to stay at the club for the rest of the season, or this season, I think he'll come back into Chelsea next summer, and so they've got this big problem now of stacked full of talent. The players, unhappy not getting game time, obviously, wondering where they're going to go, and it just doesn't make sense to overpay for those sort of young talents. Look, Chelsea have had experience, and I've said before that they've made money out of their academy, and I understand it as a business model, but still, it isn't good for the game to have this sort of stockpiling of talent. And there's got to be some way that this can be looked at, that you shouldn't have such depth of young academy talent and buying it all up. They're starting to really look a little bit silly in terms of the way this is happening, because if it, I've said, looking at the young players at that age group, they're still not fully formed in terms of their physical growth, and there could be certain issues that can crop up. And it's a costly mistake if some of those basic issues, happen. Goalkeepers perhaps not quite as risky as other positions, but still, injuries happen for goalkeepers at a young age, and we've got to, they've got to be, pretty clear that a gamble of that scale is a big one. But Chelsea keep on throwing money at things and keep hoping it's going to work. But it seems to me that in Chelsea there's just so many different voices. There seems to be no clear, direct strategy, and every voice is sort of getting a part of the pie and doing something, and you end up, as they say, a camel would have been a horse made by a committee, and we seem to be having Chelsea becoming a football club that is being run by a committee, and it's just not edifying to see what's happening. But a lot we'll see. This season they had a great finish a strong finish at the end of last season. But they've got to do this right this year, because there's a lot of things that are going to come out of the woodwork if they don't.
Not to mention they sacked the manager that had that great finish of the season, so I'm not sure how much that even really matters going into the new Premier League season, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, people were shaking their heads just when it seemed there was some calm and stability coming up. I mean, anybody that understands football knows that stability is one of the key factors of success. In my experience with myself, I mean, I had David Moyes for a long period at the club, and there was stability there, and that's what brought success. Just as you thought it was coming right last year, they decided to make another change. So more instability, and it doesn't bode well for this season. I say they're going to have to come out of the traps pretty quickly, and if it goes the other way, confidence will sap away as well from the players very quickly.